Are you keeping up with what's been happening in Iran since the death of Mahsa Amini? This is the woman who died in police custody when she was arrested for improper wearing of the headscarf, which is compulsory over there, and women have been protesting and cutting their hair in solidarity with what's happening over there. And no one should be forced to wear something against their will, should they? Even if it's perceived to be for the greater good, which I'm sure the Islamic Revolution and the Revolutionary Guards would believe that it is. But there's something very weird about forcing people to wear something. So I can understand why many people are standing in solidarity. Women around the world are shaving their heads or cutting their hair to say, I stand with the women of Iran. Maybe we'll see Iranian flags popping up here, there and everywhere to show solidarity with the women of Iran, as we've seen other flags of other countries elsewhere. Although the Iranian flag is a bit of a difficult one, because the current Iranian flag is actually the flag of the Iranian Revolution, and many people, especially a lot of Iranian exiles who would be against the regime, actually fly a different flag, and there's a similar flag with a lion on it that's actually used by people that oppose the regime. So I don't think we'll be seeing Iranian flags. It's a funny one with flags. Sometimes when there's turmoil in a country and you get regime change, you wind up with a new flag. And arguably the Islamic Revolution of 1979 was a regime change. And when Ayatollah Khomeini arrived back in Tehran, having been in France for a few years, when his revolution was successful, they wound up with a new flag. Similarly, when Colonel Gaddafi was not only ousted but murdered, Libya wound up with a new flag, or rather an old flag. Sometimes the symbols of revolutions might actually be the flags from before, the flags from when these countries were controlled by the imperial powers. I'm thinking of the Syrian flag, for example. The current official Syrian flag is a Ba'ath Party flag, the party of Bashar al-Assad, Hezbollah Ba'ath. That's their flag. And the flag adopted by the so-called Free Syrian Army was actually a flag from colonial times when Syria was a part of the French Mandate, going back to Sykes-Picot. So flags have always got their symbolism. Will you be flying an Iranian flag in solidarity with the women over there? Maybe the old flag, the one with the lion on it. Will you be calling for intervention? Will you be calling for regime change? What is the right thing to do? How do we here in the West help women who are being forced to wear something against their will? If you shouldn't force people to remove their clothes against their will, presumably you shouldn't force people to put something on. Although we are all forced to wear something, aren't we? It's illegal to go completely naked in the UK, and if you are a nudist or brought up in a nudist family, maybe you feel oppressed by that. But where do we draw the line? I guess every society has its rules of decency. The authorities in Iran believe that their rules come from religion and that they cannot be reinterpreted, even though it does say that there is no compulsion in religion. That's a quote from the Quran. But the rules as interpreted by the Islamic revolution are being upheld by force. How will you stand with the women of Iran? Are you going to cut your hair? Are you going to fly a flag? Are you going to call for regime change? Is this an opportune moment for the likes of John Bolton, who's no longer with us, to push for regime change? Is this a good reason for us to go to war? Is this the next war? Is this the next invasion? Or is it just another chapter in the long book of Iranian history? During the Shah's time, the brutal dictator imposed on Iran by the West, the puppet dictator who was installed after Dr. Mossadegh was ousted. During his time, the Shah's Savak, the secret police, would forcibly remove head coverings from women because they wanted to be very Western, they wanted to be very sort of European. The Savak, they would forcibly remove the head coverings, the hijab, with those guns that have got a knife on the end of them. They would forcibly rip their headscarf off the woman's head. And now, in a backlash to that, which has been going on since 1979, you've got other men who will forcibly put on a headscarf onto a woman's head against her will. Can you see how we haven't reached equilibrium yet? Because you've gone from one extreme to another. But maybe, eventually, there'll be a time in Iran and everywhere in the world where if you want to wear something, you can. And if you don't want to wear it, you don't have to. Let me know what you think. Do you stand with the women of Iran?